Hello there, my name is Justin Sanders and I'm the print technician. And basically what I'm going to do today is show you how to ink up a plate. This is a pre-prepared plate, so this is one you've worked on, whether it's a copper one, zinc, aluminium, perspex. You can also use card prints as well, called collagraphs. So today what we're going to do is demonstrate how you ink up one of these plates. Right guys, once you've prepared your plate, what you've got to do is prepare your paper. Now the paper we're going to use today, we're going to use some Italian-made mould-made paper, which is called Fabriano Rosapini. You can also use Somerset Velvet, BFK Reeves. They're very good quality printmaking papers. So what I'm going to demonstrate now is how you tear down a piece of paper. I know this sounds simple. Normally you'd have a straight edge, but because of the way Fabriano's made, it's quite easy just to tear. So you can actually just tear it with your fingers, just like that. Perfectly acceptable for printing that now. So now what we do, we take this piece of paper and we take it into the water bath for soaking for between 10 to 20 minutes. Right guys, now we're coming to the paper stage. We've soaked our paper in the water bath. This has been in for about a good 10-15 minutes. Depending on the weight of the paper, you'd need to soak it more. What we've done now, we've taken the paper out, we've put it on there, we let it drip dry into the tray. So now we take it from here, using clean fingers, lay it down on the blotters. Now, what you should do is always stick a piece of newsprint on top of your blotters. Reason being, most people tend to rub their paper like this. Or you can get a roller and roll across it. But what you shouldn't do is rub the actual blotting paper. If you rub the blotting paper, you'll bring the fibres of the blotting paper up. It will stick over your nice piece of printmaking paper and it will look like snowflakes all over it. So what we do, we rub it quite vigorously. Right, so flip it up. All I need to do is look down on it and see if there's any shiny bits. If there's any shiny bits, it means it's still wet. That looks pretty good to me. Now what I'm going to do, an old tried and tested technique, is to stick the paper between your lips. Don't do this if you've had tomato sauce or you're wearing lipstick, because what happens is you'll put a mark on your paper, and all you do, like that, and you'll feel a coldness to your lips. That's perfect. Now we're at the printmaking stage. So what I'm going to demonstrate now is how you get ink out of a tin. Talk a little bit about powder pigments and the difference between the two. Right, this is powder pigments. This is pure pigment. This is a Frankfurt black. You can get heavy French, light French, vine black. They're all different blacks. What you tend to do is you have it in powder form and then you add oils to it. When you mix it by hand and you use this thing, which is called a glass muller, and you really mull the ink to get it to a butter consistency. To make your lives easier, what we've got here is some very nice French 88 etching ink. This is made by a company called Lance's. The way you get the ink out of the tin is pretty important. What you should never do is dive into the tin, because what you'll do, ink oxidises, in other words it dries. If you push that ink into the bottom of the tin, you've ruined about a £20–30 worth of ink tin. So what you do, you take it off in a circular motion, like so, take it out of the tin and just work it on the surface like that. And as you can see, it's got a nice buttery consistence. See, so that is right for printing. Right, time to print the plate. Right, before we actually start printing, we need to soften the scrim. You buy the scrim in a big roll and it's got quite a rough texture to it. The easiest way to soften the scrim is take it over to the press, rub it through like that. You probably see bits of size coming out of it. Flick it like that. It's nice and soft. That's ready to print. Right. This is the ink that I've already mixed up. What I'm using here is a bit of old squeegee from screen printing. You can use card as well, but squeegee is really good because it's nice and thick rubbery. What I do, take a wad of the ink, like so, and then apply it to my plate. And what I'm doing, I'm pressing on fairly hard with this, because what I want to do is get all that ink into the lines. There's another way of doing this, where you mix up your ink, and then you use what we call scrim or dollies, which are tiny bits of scrim that are rolled up, and you work it into the surface of the plate. But I find this just as effective. Okay, so what we're doing, we're wiping it really like this all over, getting a good coating of ink. That's still a nice temperature. So now what I do, I get the biggest bit of scrim I can get in my hand, and then I start wiping like so. We could talk a little bit about surface tone on the plate. Surface tone is like leaving an aquatint. It's leaving ink on the surface. But what I'm going to try and demonstrate here is a bit of surface tone and a bit of clean wiping. So as you can see, I'm not pressing on too hard, I'm working the surface of the plate, like so. When it gets to a stage like that, what you can do is get that pre-bit of scrim that you've done, a cleaner bit, lay it over the top. This is going to wipe it even cleaner now. And just tease the surface, like so, and you can see the image coming through. It's a bit like photography, this, where you actually see the image develop in front of you. So what we're going to do, this end here, we're going to leave a bit of a tone. I'll continue with the wiping. What I've got here is a bit of old yellow pages, or basically business newspaper. It's great size for wiping plates of any size, and it saves you using tissue paper. So all I do, keep it nice and flat. Whatever you do, don't screw it up like this and try and scratch it like that, because you'll pick up the ink out of the line. So all I'm doing is wiping nice. Now this is sort of called a clean wipe. There's slightly another variation on this, which is where you use your hand, and what I've got here is a bit of talcum powder. Don't breathe the dust in, it doesn't do you any good. And what I'm going to do is just dance across the surface like this. The best way of describing this is like imagine having a tablecloth and having biscuit crumbs on it, and what you're trying to do is get the crumbs off, and this is the best way of doing it. You can do it in a circular motion, straight across the plate, and this is called hand wiping. And as you can see, I've got some ink just coming off on my hand there. Right, wipe the edges of the plate, and then we'll take it over to the press. So this is a bit of cloth. All I'm doing is just wiping the edges, so when I print, I get a nice clean edge all the way around. Some people like dirty edges on plates, but if you're printing properly, or printing slightly differently, you clean the edges. That's ready to go. We'll take this over to the press. As you can see, I've registered the plate mark already on here. This is the paper registration, this is the plate registration. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay it down like so. Now we get our paper. Right, now we're ready to print. So we've got our paper. This is called holding your paper by its weight. It's so you can actually walk around with it. Yeah? I've got some little paper fingers on here to keep it nice and clean. So what I do now is line it up with my registration marks, like so. And then all I do, I get a bit of tissue paper. The reason I put tissue paper down is so basically you don't mark the blankets. These blankets are really expensive. Basically you just don't want to damage them, you want to keep them really nice and clean. So what we do now is we bring the blankets down like so, so they're all nice and smooth. Remember, I've got clean hands. Don't do this with dirty hands, else you get marks all over it. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to wind this through the press. Now, a few little things when you're using the press is, don't shove your arm in here, don't put your hands in here. These have got guards on, so it's pretty safe in that respect, or very safe in that respect. Don't put your hands down here. And when you're using the press, you do it nice and slowly. So what you do, nice slowly wind. That's all there is. That's as fast as you need to go. If you're using a big plate, what you can do is get somebody to hold the blankets for you a little bit, just to pinch them down, and you just wind it at this nice steady speed. And now I can just feel it going through, I can just feel the pressure change. But this press has been set up for copper and zinc plates, so it's perfect for that. So I'll see it come through nice and steady, and just feel it. So all I need to do now, pick up the blankets like that, pinch, flick, over they go. Feel the tissue paper back. You can see you've got a lovely emboss on there. That's this bit through here. So all I need to do, using my paper fingers. Now, what you need to do is do it nice and steady. Never rush this. There you go, guys. One print, clean wipe with a surface tone.